You ever looked in the mirror and felt as if time had stolen something from you? The face you look back at is not the same as the one you remember. The world moves faster, friendships change, and the body you once trusted now feels unfamiliar. Taking action is a journey full of change, and let's be honest, it can feel like an uphill battle. But what if I told you that the battle isn't against taking action? The real fight is against our resistance to it. The Buddha taught that suffering occurs when we fight against the natural flow of life. Impermanence. Anicca. The truth is that everything changes. It's not something to fear. Instead, it's the key to freedom. We spend so much time waiting, trying to freeze moments, trying to preserve what must inevitably change. But what if taking action isn't something to fear? What if it's something to embrace? Today, I'm going to share 5 profound lessons from the Buddha on taking action that will completely change your perspective. These truths are not sick. They are powerful, liberating, and even beautiful. Once you embrace them, you will begin to experience taking action not as a loss, but as an evolution of something deeper, something richer. So stay with me, because what you learn today could change the way you see the rest of your life. 1. You will be forgotten sooner than you think. And that's okay. One of the hardest truths to accept is this. You will be forgotten sooner than you think. The career you built, the home you cherished, the stories you told will all fade from memory over time. At first, this realization can feel exhilarating. We spend our lives trying to make a difference, believing that our efforts will leave a lasting mark. But time passes, with or without us. Our children get busy, our friends have their own lives, and eventually the world turns its attention elsewhere. But Buddhism offers a beautiful perspective on this truth. The Buddha often spoke of anatta, the doctrine of non-being. The idea that we are permanent, fixed beings is an illusion. Just as clouds rise and fall into the ocean, so we rise and pass away, leaving rays that join the great flow of life. Our goal is not to be remembered, but to be present in each moment. There is a well-known Zen story that illustrates this truth beautifully. A wise old monk lived in a remote mountain temple, known to the villagers for his kindness and wisdom. Over the decades, many sought his counsel, and he guided them through their struggles. One day, a young disciple asked, "Master, doesn't it scare you that when you die, people forget your name?" The old monk smiled and pointed to a river flowing behind the temple. "Tell me," he said, "where is the water that was here yesterday?" The disciple hesitated, unsure how to answer. "It has floated away," the monk continued. "But the river remains." The lesson was clear. It is not the name we leave behind, but the flow of our actions, the effect of our kindness that endures. The river does not float away with the water, just as we should not float away with the illusion of permanence. A Zen monk once said, "A single chant can light 1,000 others without losing its own flame." The kindness, wisdom, and love you share today do not fade. They live on, not as names in history books, but in the hearts of those you have touched. Think about that. Do you remember the name of each teacher who inspired you? Probably not. But their influence shaped you nonetheless. The calm of a kin's love, the guidance of a mentor, the generosity of a stranger. All these things remain in the fabric of our existence, even if their names fade away. So leave what is necessary to be remembered. Instead, focus on living well now. Be kind. Be present. And let your actions create ripples of good in the lives of others. That is how you leave a true legacy. Taking action is not about chasing a name that will go down in history. It is about making each moment meaningful, so that when your time comes, you can go with peace, knowing that the river of your life has nourished others along the way. 2. Your body will betray you. So befriend it instead. Once you could walk up the stairs without thinking. Now your knees protest even a short distance. The body you once trusted now moves cautiously, reminding you with every ache that it is not what it once was. This may seem like a betrayal, but the Buddha would say it is just nature at work. Just as a tree loses its leaves in October, so must the body change. The problem is not the action itself, it is our assault on youth. We connect with our ancient beings, resisting the inevitable, and in that resistance we suffer. The path to peace is not in trying to control the uncontrollable, but in learning to adapt with grace. Consider this, your body is not your enemy, It is your oldest companion. It has carried you through every moment of your life, from childhood adventures to adult responsibilities. It has blamed itself for illness, for stress, and adapted to every challenge you have thrown at it. Instead of regretting rushing into it, why not show it gratitude? Doing good is not about trying to be who you were, it is about taking care of who you are now. Move your body gently, feed it well, rest when it needs to rest. Train it like an old friend, rather than a failing machine. There is a Buddhist parable that speaks to this beautifully. A monk, growing old, struggled to complete his daily tasks. He had once carried heavy loads of water from the river, but now his arms sank with the effort. One night, frustrated with his waning strength, he asked his teacher, "Master, why does my body fail me? It once obeyed my every command." The teacher smiled and gave him a broken keyboard vase. "This vase," he said, "once carried water effortlessly. Now it sinks. Does that mean it is useless?" The monk sank. "No, master, it still holds some water. And does it not still serve a purpose?" The teacher asked. "The escaping water nourishes the earth. The vase is not as it once was, but it still serves a purpose." The old monk smiled in understanding. His body was like the vase. It had changed, but it still had a purpose. And so do you. To act is not to mourn what has been lost, but to recognize what remains. You may not be able to run as fast, but you can still walk. You may not be able to lift as much, but you can still carry love, wisdom, and experience. Your hands may move, but they can still reach out in friendship. Instead of seeing your body as something that has turned against you, see it as something that has served you faithfully for decades. Your body has been your companion, your vehicle, your protector. It deserves your respect, your care, and your patience. Here's what you can do. Listen to your body instead of fighting it. If it asks for rest, give it rest. If movement is difficult, find gentle ways to keep it active. If it is gentle, treat it with friendship, not frustration. It is not failing you, it is simply evolving. Most importantly, don't let action keep you from living fully. A weak body does not mean a weak spirit. As long as you have breath, you have purpose. Think of the old people who inspire you, not because they seem young, but because they shine wisdom and peace. They embraced the changes, and in doing so, they freed themselves from suffering. You can walk this path too. So love your body, acknowledge it for all it has done, and move forward with grace. 3. You can't keep everyone in your life. And that's natural. As you grow older, you'll notice something exciting. People say goodbye. Friends who were once inseparable become distant. Family members who used to call regularly become occasional visitors. Some disappear for no reason, leaving only silence where there was once laughter. It's easy to take this personally, to ask, did I do something wrong? Was I not enough? But Buddhism teaches that everything in life is impermanent, including relationships. People come into our lives when we need them, and they leave when their role in our story is done. Just as times change, so do the people around us. There's a Buddhist parable that illustrates this truth beautifully. A young monk once asked his master why people leave us when we love them. The master took him to a quiet riverbank and pointed to the flowing water. "See how the river moves," he said. "Each piece of water floats behind us, never staying in one place. Some pieces travel together for a while, dipping and dancing side by side. Others quickly separate, carried away by the current." The young monk cried out, "People are like that," the master continued. "Some walk near us for a while, others for years, but all must keep moving. It is not their departure that should frighten us, but our refusal to accept that their presence was never meant to be permanent." The monk sat silently, watching the river, understanding at last that love does not mean ownership. Instead of turning away from what is no longer there, cherish those who remain. Think about it. Have you ever reunited with an old friend after years apart and felt as if no time had passed at all? That's because the kindness you shared was never truly lost. It lived on, untouched by time or distance. So the people who left your life didn't take away the love or joy they brought. Their presence shaped you, even if they're no longer around. The love, the laughter, the lessons, they remain. Acting teaches us that relationships evolve. Some fade gently, like the sun resting. Others end abruptly, like a storm passing. But no matter how they go, they were meaningful in their time. And remember that. Even if someone is no longer there, the love you shared doesn't disappear. It lives on in your heart, locked away in the person you've become. So instead of mourning every lost connection, celebrate the ones that grieve. Invest your energy in the people who bring you peace and joy. Appreciate the friend who still calls to check in on you, the neighbor who smiles when you pass by, the grandson who listens to your stories. And most importantly, don't close your heart to new relationships. There is always room for new friendships, no matter how old you are. Life still offers moments of connection. If only you remain open to them, let them go with grace. Honor what was, appreciate what is, and embrace what is yet to come. This is the path of wisdom. 4. You must accept that you no longer look young, and that is a gift. There comes a time when you catch an image of yourself in the mirror, and you realize that you no longer look like the person you once were. Your skin is cooler, your hair is redder, your hands are more delicate. Society tells us to strive for it, to eliminate tails, to decorate our hair, to pursue youth at all costs. But what if we were to act differently? Buddhist philosophy teaches that true beauty is found in wisdom, presence, and friendship, not in skin without tails. Her tails are not tails, they are the lines of a life well lived. Her red hair is not something to be blamed for. It is a chrono of experience. There is a Zen story about an old woman who visited a master known for his wisdom. With sadness in her eyes, she said, "Master, I look in the mirror and I do not recognize myself. My beauty has faded. My hair is golden. My skin is smooth. I feel invisible." The master smiled and took him into the garden. He looked at a bird tree full of blossoms and said, "This is beauty, is it not?" She wept. Then he took him to a tree of ancient pines. Her hair had faded, her grays had shed with time. "And this?" he asked. She hesitated. "It is different, but there is something dignified about it. Something strong." The master smiled. "It's because you have wisdom. A child may only see beauty in the bird's eye, but in time we learn to appreciate the pin." The woman understood. Her beauty did not fade. She transformed. Think of the old people you admire. Were they beautiful because they looked young, or because they carried themselves with dignity, calm, and wisdom? The earring in their eyes, the way they listened patiently, the kindness in their voice, that is true beauty. Let go of the illusion that beauty fades. Beauty transforms. And in your future years, your beauty is found in your presence, your resilience, and the kindness you offer the world. Taking action is not a battle to be fought, but a journey to be embraced. Imagine if we saw each earring as a story, each piece of gold as a lesson learned. Imagine if we celebrated the wisdom we gained, instead of mourning the youth we left behind. There is a certain radiance that only comes with imagination, the confidence of knowing who you are, the strength of having weathered life's storms, the gentleness that comes from understanding others. This is a beauty that no cream or paint can replicate. So the next time you reach for reflection and feel tempted to mourn what was lost, pause, look deeper, see the life you lived, the love you gave, the wisdom you carry, and view your years with pride, like a dress closed with experience and grace. Because true beauty is not behind you. It is within you now, in this moment. 5. You will see more people you love die, but love never dies as the years pass. You will experience loss more often. Parents, siblings, friends, even children, one by one, pass from this world, and nothing prepares you for that one. Grief is not something we go through, it is something we learn to live with, but Buddhism offers a powerful truth. Love does not die. The people you lost live in you. In the lessons they taught, the stories they shared, the love they gave, every time you speak their name, share their wisdom, or carry their friendship, they are with you. There is an ancient Buddhist parable about a woman named Kisa Gautami. When her young son died, she was overcome with grief. She carried his lifeless body from house to house, asking for medicine that could bring him back to life. Finally, she came to the Buddha, who told her, "Bring me a butter seed from a house that had never known death." With renewed hope, she knocked on every door in the village, but the entire family had lost someone, a parent, a child, a friend. At the end of her search, she realized that she was not alone in her suffering. Returning to the Buddha, she realized that grief is a thread tied shut in the fabric of life, and no one is saved. We all must face loss, but the love we share never truly runs dry. Think about the people you've lost. Maybe it was a parent whose laughter still lingers in your memory. A friend who gave you advice and who continues to guide you. A partner whose love still shapes the way you love others. They may be dead, but they are not gone. One of the biggest misconceptions about grief is that we should move on. But Buddhism teaches us not to move on, but to move on, carrying the love, the lessons, the essence of those we've lost. Have you ever noticed how certain smells, songs, or even phrases bring someone back to life, if only for a moment? It's their presence that lingers with you, reminding you that love is not tied to the physical world. Grief is sick, yes, but it's also a testament to the depth of our love. The greater the love, the deeper the loss. But instead of wishing away the pain, we can transform it into gratitude. Instead of focusing on what we've lost, we can worship what we've been given. Taking action means seeing more loss, but it also means having the privilege of loving deeply, of forming connections that matter, and of carrying on the spirits of those who have touched our lives. So when you feel the weight of loss pressing down on your heart, remember that love never dies. It flows through you, through your actions, through the kindness you offer the world. As long as you continue to love, those who have passed will remain a part of you, and in that, they are never truly gone. Final thoughts. Embrace age with grace. Age is not a punishment. It is a privilege. Every year, every corner, every hair is a marker of the life you have lived, the lessons you have learned, and the love you have shared. Too often, society teaches us to fear age, to resist it at all costs, as if growing older is something to be blamed for. But Buddhism teaches otherwise. Age is not the enemy. Fear is. When we resist change, we suffer. When we cling to youth, we lose sight of the gifts that come with age, wisdom, patience, a deeper appreciation for the present moment. The more we fight the inevitable, the more we fill ourselves with frustration and rules. But the moment we surrender to the natural flow of life, we unlock a profound peace. We see that age is not something that is being taken from us, but something that is being given. So, my friend, what will you do with these truths? Will you fight against time? Or will you embrace it with an open heart? Will you die in the past worshipping what once was? Or will you celebrate what still is? The choice is yours. But if you choose acceptance, if you choose gratitude, then you will discover that age is not an end. It is a new beginning. Carry these lessons with you. Walk this path, not with fear, but with grace. Find joy in the wisdom you have gained. Share your stories. Laugh freely. Love deeply. Live fully. If this message spoke to you, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Let's walk this journey of wisdom together. And if you found value in this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insights on embracing life with peace, purpose, and remembrance. Age is not the keyhole of a book. It is simply the turning of a page and the next chapter.